welcome everybody to the Magic Beans podcast. We are back again for episode number 152. I'm your host tonight, and my name is Shorty, and I have just one bean on the line with me tonight in the form of Cracker. How's it going, mate?
I'm all right, buddy. How are you?
I'm better than you sound.
I actually feel fine. I've just got this wicked man
the
voice.
lurgy.
Yeah.
You've got the wicked man voice, the person with the manliest voice I know.
it's extra, man. It can go way down. So, I don't know if you knew this, but Dash lost his voice for
really?
4 days.
Is that like a blessing?
Oh, mate. You have no idea.
So peaceful in your house.
It was, it didn't stop Lior yelling, but it stopped Dash yelling back at him. So it was like only a third of the volume that I'm used to. So it was great. I loved it.
Or you get like Lior yelling at Dash because he's not responding to him because he can't answer his questions and things like that.
Dash is still just being his normal trolly self.
Okay.
Right, that didn't go away.
So I've got a story from, let's go on a tangent already, from my childhood of, my brothers. So I'm the eldest of 4 boys. So the second eldest brother had a pair of earmuffs on, and the third eldest brother was yelling at him to give him the earmuffs. And he was, facing the other direction, and he's yelling at him, "I want the earmuffs, give me the earmuffs." Wouldn't give him to him, wasn't turning around, listening to him.
Sure.
So he whacked him in the head with a golf club. Split his head open, like the actual club end, not like the stick end or whatever. And it's like he couldn't hear you, like he wasn't going to answer you because he had earmuffs on.
And you could just pull them off.
It's just one of those dumb things.
Gonna go fetch a golf club and whack him with it.
Yep. I think he might have already had the golf club, and it was just like, oh, I've got a golf club, you're not listening to me, so I'm just going to whack you in the head.
I mean, I don't know what this is about your childhood, Shorty. It was exciting, adventurous.
Yes, there was everyday occurrences in my household. All right. Anyway, we are here to talk about some magic, and it's actually been a few weeks since I've been on the podcast. I think it's been like 3 weeks. You've been on a bit, but Chewy's been doing the heavy lifting with a couple of special guests, which has been really cool. So good to be back on. Almost sort of forget how to do it after all this time, but that's all right. We'll get back into it. I find that hard
to believe.
When we hit record and it's just straight into the professional welcome to the Magic Beans.
That's it.
Never forget that. No, all good. One thing I'd never forget about though, Cracker, is to shout out our awesome sponsors. So,
how could you forget? Josh and Pats are the actual best. Yeah, I'll talk about Josh and Pats all the time. They are a Facebook auction page with nightly lots of magic cards that you can bid and buy. They have auctions going up every day. They've got win it now, so you just say mine or sold or whatever it is, and it's yours. The rates are always amazing, and because they have a full-time auctioneer, their packages go out super quick. They come with sweet tokens that you get to choose from, which we'll have a new one in a few weeks to add to the collection, which is pretty awesome. And they just help us put on the tournament series that we've just coming to the end of, and they're absolute legends. So go check them out, JPMTG Bazaar. And when you win an auction, let them know that the Bean sent you.
Very good. All right, so we're in a bit of a weird spot at the moment in terms of Magic. So we've just had Brothers War release. We had the pre-release last weekend. We had the set only just, I think, like yesterday or the day before, maybe release on Arena and Magic Online. So it's very, very fresh. Like drafting is just starting, that sort of thing. So like I haven't even played Arena for like 2 weeks, to be honest, but I haven't started in that sort of thing. We can't really give you a rundown on the limited archetypes and what we're thinking about, all that sort of thing, how the standard format's going, all that sort of stuff. So we've got no idea about that. And then we've got some large Pioneer events coming up next weekend for us, and then as well as some events this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also a sort of new format because we've just had a set release, and there's a bunch of tournaments coming out. So there's going to be deck lists to talk about, but we don't have those yet. So we're kind of in a weird spot, but there's always something to talk about in Magic.
That's never stopped us before, mate.
No.
It is a bit of a limbo. So I was watching a couple of streams last night. I was checking out Crokies and seeing what he was up to in New Standard. So there's some interesting things, but it's it's super early, so everyone's just kind of trying things out and seeing what's good and what's not. So, stay tuned in the next couple of weeks and we'll have an idea of what settles down. It looks like it's just kind of more of the same with upgrades across the board. I don't know that there's any huge new archetypes yet, but we'll see. Soldiers, actually, and mono red, surprisingly.
Yeah, okay. I mean, historically, mono red does well in the early days of a format because there's always super aggressive stuff that you can be doing, and the control decks aren't tuned and don't really know what to do. So that's pretty common. But the current season for the regional championship qualifiers is standard. So the next lot of regional championships are going to be standard. So it's likely that we'll be playing a fair bit of standard. We've got the Envy coming up that will be standard as well. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be a lot of other content creators talking about standard. So we'll get an idea on the metagame. I did a stream on Monday and sort of went through some decks that I'm interested in. People have been posting up lists from the early access events, which for some reason we cannot seem to get re-invited to, despite me trying every avenue I can to contact Wizards to get back on there. They just don't seem to respond. But there's heaps and heaps of decks that people are putting out there, but in these early couple of weeks it's pretty wide open, and we'll have to
hoard your wildcards, people.
Yes.
Hoard them.
do not go burning wildcards just yet, otherwise you'll end up with 4 Judiths in your account and you'll never use them again.
That is correct. Listen, don't buy Urzas just yet, all right? Just wait.
Yeah, actually, that is a bit nasty because you got to buy like the Urzas and the Mightstone, Weakstone, and then same with Mishra. It's like, just burn 8 wild cards, and then you go, no, they're garbage. Yep.
Perfect. And these stocked accounts that have every card and 100,000 gems to go with it.
Yeah. Let the whales out there and the big content creators figure out the meta for you, and then spend your wild cards. Now is the time to be drafting and playing sealed. So get into that. All right. So we do have a few things that we are going to talk about. There was an article that came out, I think, in the last week with the arena state of the game and a few little updates there. So there's a few little quality of life changes that they're making with this, or the patch that comes out with the new set release. So one of the things they've brought in is the auto tapping. So when you've got you cast a spell and it asks you how you want to pay for it, and you can just hit auto pay, it will now show you what colors it's going to auto tap for you, and that's a specific thing that's come about because of cards like Blade Coil Serpent, which is the one that's the X and 6, and if you pay blue or black or red to cast it, it does different things. Yep. So that's something that you need to be aware of. You don't want the auto tapper to just go, we'll just tap all blue, and you draw cards when you actually wanted to do something else. I mean, drawing cards is not really a problem. But I
mean, you do in fact just want to do that. Pro tip.
Exactly. Yeah. So it will show up in where the auto pay button is, that little orange button. It will show you what it's going to be paying, and if you don't like that, you can manually tap your lands, and then it'll show you what you're actually going to pay it with. So that's cool little thing. Another little change they're making is when you have cards or spells that ask you to put cards on the top or bottom of your library. Previously, it was usually select one card to put on the top, select one card to put on the bottom, and it was confusing if you didn't read it properly.
Yeah, expressive iteration got me a number of times when I first cast that.
Yep. So now they've basically made it look like what it looks like when you scry. So it will actually show you your library, and then you can drag cards to the top and to the bottom and things like that. So it's a bit more visually represented for where that card is going to end up, which is pretty cool. Yeah, they're just a couple of little changes, so hopefully they make a bit of a difference. But we've got a couple of other things with Arena that they've brought in, and the first thing is golden packs. What are golden packs, Cracker?
Surprisingly good.
Yes.
So golden packs are a new type of pack that you're going to get when you purchase standard packs out of the store. So either with the pre-release bundles or even just with gold. As you go through it, you can just pay and then you stack it up. So when you get 10 of a particular Brothers War packs that you've purchased, you will get a golden pack. And the golden pack comes with 6 rares or mythics from standard legal. So they're not all going to be Brothers War cards, but they will all be rares and mythics. And you do have the chance of the rares being upshifted to mythic. So you're guaranteed at least one mythic, but you might get some extra bonus ones as well.
Okay, I didn't actually realise that you had to buy specifically Brothers War, so I'm assuming this will reset when a new set comes out. I thought it was just any packs that you buy from the store, but actually looking at it, it looks
so
like,
like
it says purchase 4 more Brothers War packs to earn a golden pack. Like, okay.
I don't know whether it goes back, whether you could buy like Dominaria United and get 10 packs of those and then, get to the golden packs, but I think it's from Brothers War forwards is my understanding.
Yeah.
In fact, yes, that's what it says. We're only applying this change to Brothers War packs this time.
Okay.
But yeah, this is really good. They've finally admitted to the fact that the economy is not very good, and card acquisition, if you don't play limited, is kind of awful. Yes. And so, I think I've heard a couple of people talking about this. It kind of brings it in line with if you just drafted a bunch, and depending on how well you do, you obviously get the rares and things from drafting. You guaranteed 3 rares out of your draft if you rare draft. But yeah, I think this is really good. And it doesn't seem like they've punished us anywhere else, which we've seen before.
Yeah. Usually when they give us something good, they take something else away. So yeah, this is definitely adding. And exactly like you said, it does seem to be evening out between constructed and limited. Because we've spoken about it before. Like you're literally, or previously, you were better off just entering a draft for the 5,000 gold, when it's on quick draft or whatever. And even if you just enter and concede, you're still better off than just straight buying packs from the store, because you're getting to actually select the cards that you want. You're going to get more rares. You're opening full-size packs rather than small packs. And then, you're getting minimal prizes even if you get 0 wins. So you are much better off doing that. And now this, definitely does even it up. So if you're not interested in limited at all, then, you can just go, I'm just going to dump 20,000 gold and buy 20 packs, and that gets me, 20 packs worth of cards, but also 2 golden packs because you fill up the meter twice. And that's 12 more either rares or mythics, which is pretty cool. So good change, and well done, Wizards.
Good job, Wizards.
Yeah, absolutely. So that counts whether you buy the packs with gold or gems. Doesn't really matter as long as
individually or bundles. Yep, exactly.
Speaking of buying things through the store, wildcard bundles. Now
they're back.
They are back. They trialed them for a while. Previously, the wildcard bundle was $50, 50 US, which at the moment is basically 100 Australian.
Perfect.
50 US for 12 rares and 4 mythics. So Wizards has heard the feedback and gone, we better make it cheaper for everyone. So now you can buy 4 rares for $10 US. Or 4 mythics for $20 US. How does that sound to you, Craig?
I mean, I like not being locked into spending $50.
Yes.
We did do some quick maths before, Shorty, and you were explaining to me that is, in fact, the same.
Yes. I think there might be a few cents difference because I think they're like $9.99 and the other one was $49.99. So you're probably saving like 4 cents or something.
Yes, but let's go.
Yes. But if you buy 4 mythics for $20 and then buy 3 of the rare packs for $30, that costs you $50 and you end up with 12 rares and 4 mythics, which is the same as the previous bundle. So they haven't actually changed the price. They've just split it up so that if you want to, you can buy the ones you need. And it is, from a consumer's point of view, it is a good thing. I would much prefer if it was, 6 rares for $10. That seems a bit more reasonable to me.
4 rares for $4.
Yeah, yes. 4 rares for 50 cents. Sounds good. Yeah. Lock it in. But you're certainly much more likely to actually buy, it's like, I've got this tournament on the weekend. I just need a few more rare wild cards to finish off this deck. Oh, it's only $10. Yep, sweet. I'll buy that. Done. And I reckon they're going to make way more money off of that than the $50 packs, where it's like, 100%. Man, I do not want to commit to like 80 or 90 Australian dollars to get some wild cards when I only need 2 wild cards or whatever.
Yeah. I was 0% to ever buy one of those $50 packs. I am more than 0% to buy one of these $10 ones when I just need to finish a deck. Because, I have done that before. And you're like, I just need some rare wild cards. I'm like, okay, I've got some gold. I'm just going to go buy packs from that set and hope I spike the rare, or my counter ticks around enough to get the rare wild card, or you get a rare wild card in the pack. And that's
the ultimate.
Right? But that's not a good experience. You feel like you're just rolling dice on that one.
Yeah.
So this is really good because you can just be like, yeah, you know what? $12, $15, whatever it ends up being. Sure, I'll do it.
Yep. So yeah, good thing. Would prefer it's a little bit cheaper, but it is a reasonable price and gives you the option. So again, well done, Wizards. Last couple of things on Arena. So yeah, they've told us, which we already knew about. Explorer Anthology number 2 is coming in December, which I'm quite looking forward to. So it'll be the usual thing where you can buy a bundle with 4 copies of each card from the store, or you can, craft the cards like normal. And then, we've got Shadows of Innistrad Remastered coming next year, which Thing in the Ice. Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be so good. Not that Thing in the Ice is played in Phoenix, as we'll talk about a little bit later. And then, just a reminder for all the limited people out there, there is another Arena Open on next weekend, so the weekend of the 26th, and this is a limited one again. So Brothers War sealed on day 1 and then draft on day 2. And I did hear something about, I couldn't find it in the article, but something about if you 3-0 the first draft, because there's like 2 drafts on day 2, you get like an extra loss or to give or something like that. I can't remember exactly the details. So if you're interested, go and look it up, and you'll find out the information for that.
Yeah, I'm just reading it here. So it's saying if you've got a record of 3-1 and 4-0, you earn a spot in day 2. But with a key difference, undefeated players will now carry forward an unused loss pip to day 2, yes, making it double elimination. So that's what it is. So if you go 4-0, then you basically can drop an extra match in day 2, which is
that's
cool.
Pretty cool, actually. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, good change. All right. Another announcement that we had this week, we won't go into it in detail. We'll touch on it more next year, but they announced when and where the first Pro Tour will be on. So we'll talk about the Pro Tour in a little bit when we talk about regional championships and stuff, but Pro Tour is, it's finally back, and we're going to have the first one next year. We knew it was going to be sort of first quarter next year. So they are holding Magic Con Philadelphia. So we had the Magic 30 event in Las Vegas, whenever that was, a couple of weeks ago. We talked about that a little bit. And this one is apparently going to be twice as big. Like the floor space is literally twice the size of what they had at Vegas, which is pretty nuts. But they did a weekly MTG thing with Huey Jensen, and they talked about a few of the lessons that they've learned from that and things that they're going to improve and all that sort of stuff. So it sounds like it's going to be a pretty big deal, and it will be featuring the Pro Tour. So if you're attending that event, you can watch the Pro Tour live. They haven't 100% confirmed it, but they have said previously that they will be covering the Pro Tours. So hopefully we'll get paper coverage again from Wizards, which will be pretty sweet. And I'm assuming if you're there at the event, you can actually watch the feature matches on a screen or something like that. So should be pretty cool. But they'll do all the usual cosplay event, and
they'll do command zones and side events, and they'll make it into a real con. Hence the Magic Con thing, which is really cool. I think that's the correct way to do these things moving forwards, because it's so much smaller. Well, sort of so different to the old PTs and GP system. So I'm interested to see how that one plays out for sure. Yeah,
like from Wizards' point of view, they're going to be running, I don't know, maybe like 4 of these a year. And that's the only events, and I guess Worlds, but Worlds would probably be at one of these things. That's the only actual events that they run, whereas all the rest of the events are all run by, like for us, Good Games and whoever else, like DreamHack and all that sort of stuff. So it means they can put more money and effort into having these huge events, whereas previously they were hosting GPs, like 20, 30 GPs a year, plus Pro Tours and all that sort of thing, all separate. And it would have been a lot of work and probably just a lot
massive,
of wasted
because there was
money.
basically like in some cases there was 2 or 3 GPs per weekend. They were every weekend pretty much, and sometimes they would double up.
Yeah, in the States. Yep. Yeah, we'd get 1 a year. But
oh yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, speaking of GPs, we've got effectively the equivalent of the GPs,
sort of,
almost. Yeah, coming up.
Not quite.
No, not quite to the same level.
It's
but
the RCs.
Yes,
it doesn't roll off the tongue, does it?
No. Depending on how you say it, it sounds like something else.
Depends on how sick you are at the time.
Yes. But this is effectively probably the biggest events that we're going to have in Australia these days. I don't see them bringing any Pro Tours and Magic Cons back to Australia. It would just be a huge expense for them. I imagine they will pretty much all be in the States. So, yeah, this is what we get, and it is, regional championships, which is Sydney. We've spoken about this previously. We've been talking about it for the last few months, that most of the beans are going up there next weekend, and it's going to be awesome. But this is the first in that pyramid scheme thing that we spoke about a while ago of, nearing towards the top. We've had the regional championship qualifiers, so the events that all your local stores run, and the people that have won those have qualified for the regional championships. And so this is, for us, this is the Australian and New Zealand regional championships, and players will be coming over from New Zealand, players will be coming from all around Australia, heading to Sydney next weekend, and you do well in that, you earn a bunch of cash. There's $5,000 US for first place, which is pretty nuts. That's a pretty solid prize.
It is.
And then top 12 qualify for the Pro Tour, which will be the Pro Tour in Philadelphia next year. And I believe it comes with flights. I seem to remember something about that when we were first looking at the Pro Tour stuff. But
that's interesting, because that's a lot. The top 12 qualifying is like, that is a big number compared to what it used to be.
Yeah, so they've said, because the way the Pro Tour system is set up now, like there is that sort of chaining events together, because there's no one already qualified and already in the system for the first. That's right,
they're seeding it for the first few.
Yeah, the first one or two or maybe three, they're giving out extra invites so that there's more people, and then they'll then cut that back. So I would imagine normally it would have been like top 8 would qualify, and actually I think I remember reading that on the website that the extra 4 invites are just for the extra seats that they're putting in. So these are kind of a big deal. There are some on this weekend. They're basically all being run either this weekend or next weekend. There's the one in the States. I think Atlanta, you said, the DreamHack
That's
one.
That's the one. Yep, DreamHack Atlanta.
Yep, there's one in Sofia, which is somewhere in Europe. I think it was Bavaria or something like that. I could look it up. And there's one in South America.
Can you look it up though, Shorty?
Probably. Well,
can you? Are you sure?
I could open Google Maps and search for where Sofia is.
But surely you could just open the Wizards website and have it tell you.
So. Yeah, so preparing the show notes for tonight, it was, I thought, I'll look up and see which ones are on this weekend and which ones are on next weekend, so we can actually say where they are and whatever. And, you navigate your way through the nest that the Wizards website is, and you find, okay, here's the schedule for the things, and it's like, I get a calendar, regional championships. Nope, that's got no information. That's just saying there's regional championships on this weekend. All right, go to some other event thing, and all it gives you is, here's the list of organisers for each region, and you have to go to their individual websites. So then you've got to somehow try and figure out how to navigate their individual websites. And, of course, half of them are in different languages. There's Japanese ones and Chinese ones and ones in, I don't know,
Portuguese
Spanish
and Brazilian and German and all the other languages that idiots like us don't speak.
Yeah, like I literally opened them all, and I found like 2 that I could actually navigate and find where the dates were. One of them being the Australian one that was actually quite well set out. But yeah, good old Wizards with their lack of promotion and clear information.
Mate. It's not like it's their premier event series or anything. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yep. Who would need to know that information?
Nah, it's all good.
So yeah, it's as we were saying before, that kind of puts us in a little bit of limbo, because all of these events are Pioneer, and so we've had Pioneer events being played. There was an SCG con last weekend, I think, or maybe the weekend before. There's been a few, there's a bunch of Magic Online stuff. So we've seen some Pioneer stuff, but nothing with the new set. And so now we're going to have, 3 very large tournaments that are being attended by ex-pro players and Hall of Famers and those sorts of things, like people that they're vying to qualify to get to the first Pro Tour so they can get on the train again, effectively. So this is the first real big tournament that actually counts for something. And so this is where we start to see the meta. But unfortunately, that leaves us in a weird spot where it's like, well, we could talk about what's going on in Pioneer, but it's probably going to change.
Yeah, but that's exciting. Like, it feels like it's been forever since there have been stakes for any kind of Magic. That I mean, apart from the Beans League, clearly.
Oh, but, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But, like, you're seeing pros talk about, like, testing and stuff like that, or former pros, I guess, is the accurate term. But it's cool to see people kind of, re-engaging in that system, because we loved it. Like, I just want it back.
Yeah, and especially the way they're doing it this time, because it's literally set, just released. Here's a regional championship.
Yeah,
so it's brand
like
new. And
same week.
Yeah, and that's what we used to get with the old Pro Tours. They would be usually 2 weeks after, which is what we've got for our ones in Australia. I'm not sure scheduling-wise why they're on different weekends, but is what it is. There might be public holidays and things like that. Actually, is it Thanksgiving coming up in the States?
It is. Yeah, the following weekend.
Yeah, so that's probably why they didn't do it that weekend. But yeah, that's what we used to get all the time, and it was really cool because you would watch the coverage, and it's like, oh, okay, what decks are doing real? And I remember watching coverage and then going, ooh, this deck is performing really well. I'm going to quickly jump on eBay or something and buy some of those cards. And if that deck wins, they're going to spike in price, and then I can sell them. Like, it's like Magic Finance stuff,
hashtag.
But also, yeah. But it was super exciting because you didn't know, like. We didn't have, you didn't have the data, you didn't have a set meta, you didn't have 3 months of the same decks getting played over and over, and you just kind of know what you're going into. It was like, who's going to come with the spice? And it was really cool. So there will be coverage for, I think, at least 2 of the events that are on this weekend. So the DreamHack one, I don't know if you've watched the Anzi D MTG. He's been doing
I know who it is, but I haven't seen.
Yeah, so he's been doing a lot of the like backpack coverage setups at like the SCG events and things like that. And his setup is actually like he's doing amazingly well. And I've had a bit of Twitter conversation with him, picking his brain about how he does things and giving him information about how we do things and whatever. A little bit of back and forth, which has been quite interesting. But yeah, he's got a very cool setup, and so he sets up. Well, now he's actually doing like a couple of cameras so he can have a couple of matches going on at a time, and he's streaming it back to someone else who is then streaming that to some commentators. So they have, remote commentators commentating on the matches and then putting that out to Twitch. So he's doing a very, very good job. And I believe he's covering the DreamHack one. I'm not sure if it's going to be on his Twitch or if it's going to be on DreamHack's Twitch, but either way, if you search for it's ANZID MTG on Twitch or Twitter, you'll find him, and go and give him a follow and then watch that coverage. So that'll be running all weekend. And then the Legacy one, which is the name of the tournament organizer for the European ones, they are doing coverage. They've been doing coverage for all of their events. They've actually been running, rather than running small store events like we've had here in Australia, they've been running big events where they've had like 200 and 300 people, and it's like top 8 sort of thing qualify for the regional championship, and they've been doing coverage for all of those events with some pretty cool commentary. So yeah, go and check them out. I think they're Legacy MTG on Twitch, but you should be able to find that. So basically, we're going to have 2 lots of coverage all weekend, and with the different time zones, it's going to mean almost 24-hour coverage of paper Magic events.
Good.
Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to having my phone with me all weekend and just slyly watching a little bit of Twitch coverage. And when the kids aren't watching the TV, I'll have it up on there. Should be good.
Yeah, it'll be unreal.
Yeah, so that's going to help us sort of determine what we're going to be playing for our event. So Sydney next weekend.
Yeah, which feels like it snuck up on us somehow.
Yeah. I mean, it's
like
almost,
we've been talking about it
Christmas.
for forever. I know, but this year's just disappeared, man. I don't know what's going on. It's, I'm pumped, dude.
Yeah,
It's been such a long time since we've, gone to a Magic event. Can't wait.
Well, the last Magic, major Magic event that we went to was the Sydney event, which I think was 4 years ago.
I didn't go to.
I'm pretty sure that was the one.
I didn't go that one, no.
Well, there was one after that in Brisbane that Chris and Matty P went to, which I don't think any of the rest of us went to.
Where was the Melbourne GP? You can tell me that's like 5 years ago or something.
Oh, I don't know. It's a long time ago. Yeah, I think it's been like 4 years or thereabouts since we've played in a large event, and the reality is between then and now we've played in like 3 paper events.
Heaps, stacks.
Yeah.
So I know how to shuffle.
Do you?
Just bend the cards together.
Just like we do with Chris's vintage cube.
Yeah. I did not. I would not riffle shuffle Chris's vintage cube.
No.
Pretty much everything else, but not that.
Yep. Yeah, so we're flying up on the Thursday for the event. And there's stuff on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we're all flying home on the Monday. So massive weekend of Magic. It is always just stacks of fun, and this time it's going to be even better. We've got a house. A house is it's probably doing it. It's a correct description of what it is, but it's
stricter sense. It's nice.
Yes, it looks amazing. So and quite a few from the Beans community are going up as well. So yeah, it's going to be pretty cool to catch up with a bunch of awesome people, and there will be bulk cube.
I was going to say, speaking of vintage cube, I think that's going to come up.
Yeah.
So
yep. I don't know how Chris is going to fit in the weight limit of the flight.
I don't know, man. It's Chris. He'll probably buy a seat for the cube.
Just have it strapped in and put the buckle around.
That's it.
Get it a meal and a drink. And
No, not a drink. Are you crazy?
Should be very cool. I'm bringing my camera, and Chris is bringing his laptop, and we're bringing some basic streaming equipment. So the plan is to hopefully stream some cube games, and maybe some Commander if we can. I don't know how we'll go setting up the camera to be able to stream Commander, but definitely some 1v1 games we'll be able to stream. So yeah, keep an eye out for those in the evenings over the weekend, and should be pretty cool. It may or may not happen.
We'll do our best. And if you're going to be there, man, you better come up and talk to us.
Yes.
Like, you 100% have to.
Yep.
It is just required. Okay? Because we've met almost none of you, and we want to meet all of you. So
yeah, 100%.
Please come. We'll be wearing Beans t-shirts and all that sort of stuff, and just generally milling around. Or ping us in Discord and say, where are you? And we'll give you table numbers and stuff. We'll let people know where we're at so you can come hang out.
Absolutely. All right. So the plan for the weekend.
Yeah.
Friday is last chance qualifiers. So none of us, none of the Beans are actually qualified for the main event.
Whatever.
And probably none of us will actually play in the main event, but that's fine. But there are, I know, like Rolling Royce is qualified. I know Pen Chair is qualified. I think Map is also qualified. So there's a few people from our community who are qualified, which will be cool to see how they go. But Pioneer on the Friday, last chance qualifiers. I'm intending on playing in a bunch of those. Is that your plan as well, Cracker?
No.
No?
No. Just going to hang out. I don't know how to play standard, mate. What's wrong with you?
It's Pioneer.
The last chance qualifiers?
Yeah.
I thought they were standard. Oh.
No.
Oh, maybe. We'll see what happens. We'll take it as it comes.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of different things on the Friday. There's a big Highlander event, and my intention is to play last chance qualifiers. I would like to qualify for the main event. That would be cool. I don't think I'm going to do very well in it, but would be nice too. So I need a Pioneer deck for that at a minimum. Saturday there is the main event, so if we qualify for that, that's what we'll be playing. If not, there's a big Modern event. I'm intending on playing on that. Are you playing Modern, Cracker?
I think so.
Yep. There's a couple of other different things. I think there's like a mystery booster draft and a few other different things. And then the Sunday is the top 8 from the main event. So if one of us makes it through to that, awesome. That's what we're playing. But if not, there's a standard 5K, which is something that we just don't get here in Australia. Like, you hear about it all the time, or you used to with Star City Games. There was always 5Ks and 10Ks and whatever.
Yeah, Face to Face used to do them in Canada as well.
Yeah, yep. So that's going to be standard, and that's also actually, if you do, I think top 4 from that qualify for the next regional champions. So
okay, that's cool.
Yeah, early start to the season. But the main event is Pioneer, and whether you play it on the weekend or not, Cracker, I will definitely be playing it. So we thought we'd have a quick look at what's currently big in Pioneer, and then have a bit of a talk about what we may be playing. I sort of went through my lists on my stream on Monday and what I was planning on playing. But you can go back and watch that VOD if you want, but we'll go through it again. But give us a bit of a rundown on, sort of the main, the top 4 or 5 decks that we're seeing in Pioneer at the moment.
Yeah, so mono green is still super dominant, super consistent. It's ramping, it's doing shenanigans with Khans and taking extra turns, and I don't know, man. It's doing all sorts of things.
Some combos out of the sideboard. That's all I know.
Exactly. But in addition to that, it's just playing like beatdowns with Old Growth Trolls and Cavalier of Thorns as well.
Yeah.
So it has a really split game plan, but does both sides really well somehow. And just like a big Storm the Festival deck, it kind of goes off with... It feels like people have calmed down a little bit with the Oath of Nissa package, where people are playing like Nicol Bolas, Dragon God, and stuff like that.
Yeah, or Teferi.
Well, they're playing Teferi in some of them, it seems like.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, this list I'm looking at. Yep, Teferi who slows the sunset.
Yeah, but predominantly it's just a mono green deck that has a number of different ways to kind of attack, which is really, really strong.
Yeah, it's very hard to disrupt. It's got the ramp element, so it's getting its game plan done quick, and then it's attacking you from different angles. You can either get bashed in the face or you can let them combo out. So it has kind of been the top deck for quite a long time, really, to be honest.
It has,
and
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if at some point they ban Nykthos. Like, Nykthos seems to be the issue with the deck. Like, that's what's causing it to be so crazy. And the fact that it's, we've seen them ban things before, and we had some bans recently for similar reasons, where the combo to win, like if you're doing the Khan and you're getting the cards out of your sideboard, the Pestilent Cauldron and Chain Veil and whatever else you got going on in your sideboard, I think it's actually quite I know, particularly on Magic Online, it's a painful loop to go through.
Yeah, I mean, it is deterministic though, so you can just kind of present the loop in paper and say, I'm going to do this 10,000 times and, take the next turns until I win. So, like, it's good in that respect. It's not like KCI, which wasn't always deterministic. Eventually, most of the time it was, but yeah. So, it'll be better in person, but yes, it is still not a particularly fast deck, unless it is.
Yeah, yep. Rakdos midrange just seems to be a deck that is just everywhere in all formats at the moment.
Yep.
What do we got going on here?
Just value creatures, man. Blood Tithe Harvesters, Croxes, Underdogs, Bone Crusher Giants. It looks just like the best black and red cards from Standard in the last 4 years.
Yep, pretty much.
That's it. It's a Fable deck. Fable discarding Croxer seems pretty great, not going to lie. So lots of value, and just it's the Jund of the format, right? Just sticky threats, Thoughtseize, Fatal Push, good removal, good interaction. Everything is super cheap. It's got a couple of Sheoldreds and a couple of Kalitas's at the top end, but for the most part, things are like, 2 or 1 mana. So, yeah, just a hyper-efficient kind of deck that you'd expect to see.
Yeah, the big upgrade that it gets over, like, the standard decks from the last few years is you have access to Dreadball, which, if you don't know what it is, it's a red and black for a sorcery that's just destroy target creature or planeswalker. So, not instant speed, thankfully, but it is just solid removal and it just deals with everything. It's not conditional.
Yeah, and it also just keeps getting upgrades like its mana base. With Sulphur Springs is kind of like the perfect card for that, because you've got an untapped dual land on turn 1.
Yep.
Like another one in addition to Blood Crypts and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of been one of the downfalls with the more aggressive decks, is that sometimes the mana hasn't been the best, and this just kind of gets at that a little bit closer, given we're never going to have, Fetch Shock in Pioneer.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, well, the fetches were banned right from the start, which I think was a good move. Bin Chickens.
Chickens.
Phoenix. We know this deck. We've seen it for a very long time. You've seen me play it a million times. But yeah, they sort of moved away from the Thing in the Ice. The last time I played Bin Chickens, it was 4 Thing in the Ice, 4 Phoenix. And yeah, now it's a 4 Ledger Shredder, 4 Phoenix deck. And usually with a 1 or 2 of Thing in the Ice, just to... I think it's mainly there as a bit of a safety valve against green, because green can get a bit big, and they've got Cavaliers that can block Arclight Phoenixes and things like that. So
it's a great reset button.
Just bounce everything, and then hopefully then trigger your Phoenixes and attack with the Thing in the Ice or an Awoken Horror and a couple of Phoenixes, and yeah, get in for a bunch of damage. But it's all the usual stuff that we've seen for ages. Some burn spells, some of which allow you to discard things. A bunch of card draw that does the same thing. Pieces of the Puzzle is a card that I haven't actually played in Bin Chickens, which is a 3-mana sorcery that reveal the top 5 cards of your library, put up to 2 instant and or sorcery cards from among them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. So you're potentially binning 5 cards, which is fantastic. And yeah, hopefully a couple of those are Bin Chickens. But yeah, you're getting exactly what you want, which is instants and sorceries. And that's all just going to fuel the next 2 cards on the list, which is Treasure Cruise. We get to play Treasure Cruise. Oh my goodness. The only time I get to play Treasure Cruise is in Pauper Cube. So
yep,
very excited to be playing that. And if you don't know what that is, go and look it up. It is one of the best Magic cards. It's basically Ancestral Recall. And then Temporal Trespass.
Oh yeah,
do you know what this is?
I actually do. I do. It's a super cheap spell, like all these kind of 1 and 2 mana cantrips to get your Arclight Phoenixes back. There's this casual 11 mana sorcery just chilling here. It is 8 and triple blue with Delve, and it says take an extra turn after this one. Exile Temporal Trespass. You do. Well, I don't know about thankfully, definitely. I mean, you just said, I'm going to pay 3 mana and put 5 cards into my graveyard. That's literally Cabal Ritual for this thing.
Yep.
You've just added 5 mana for free.
So it's effectively blue, take an extra turn. So yeah, not that hard. I do like the curve. Like when you look at this deck, it's like, a bunch of 1s, hilarious. Bunch of 2s, a couple of 3s, an 8, 11.
Yep, perfect.
Just this big jump. So, yeah, Bin Chickens, good deck, been around for ages, sort of floats in and out of the meta. It used to be more popular when Expressive Iteration was still around, and then I think when that got banned, it kind of dropped off a bit, but it's still proven to be a solid deck. Cracker.
For sure. Yes.
Next one, Plains, bulk Plains.
Oh, I love them.
You do?
They're my favourite thing to do. Mono White Humans, actually pretty good, very strong.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Very beat down, as you'd expect. Soldier of the Pantheon. It's a card you don't see very often. It's a 1 mana 2/1 with protection from multicolored. Whenever an opponent casts a multicolor spell, you gain 1 life. It's just like so many 1-drops. And then just like a bunch of powerful 2s, Liminac Aspirant, Thalia's Lieutenant, Big Thalia, or both Thalias. There's just kind of all the disruptive creatures that you've seen in the last couple of years. Plus Adeline. This thing it gets you dead real fast.
Yeah, and we've seen these mono white decks for the last few years in Standard. They've just got so much versatility in their creatures, or spell like abilities tacked onto their creatures with Brutal Cathars and things like that. That you don't need to actually play removal spells. They are playing Brave the Elements, which is a protection spell. It's single white for an instant. Choose a color. White creatures you control gain protection from the chosen color till the end of turn. So stops removal or allows you just to punch in for that, final bit of damage or a bit of extra damage. So very solid.
And just got some upgrades as well. Like there's some cards in Brothers War that will be, I imagine, slotting into this. None of these lists we're looking at have got Brothers cards in them yet, because how can they? There's no way of doing that. But that new exile a creature and the opponent gains 3 life, but you've got to have that number of planes equal to its mana value.
Yes,
it's called. That one seems really strong. So there's a few things in here that I think will find their way in. That just seems like better than Portable Hole pretty much always for what you're trying to do. So yeah, anyway.
100%. The next deck on the list, this deck, there's been a few different iterations of this next deck, and it was for a while people were saying that this was the best list. It kind of started off as Mardu, which is what we had in Explorer. So we've got the Greasefang decks, but it's evolved into Abzan now. And you were saying this is a deck that you're considering playing?
Yeah, so I've been messing around with a little bit. One of the other things that I played on and off for a little while was the Lotusfield deck, which is one we'll talk about in a second, but it seems really hard. Now, they've changed it a bit, and it seems like you just need a lot more reps. And this one is just more redundant. So the big change here is that green gets you into Grisly Salvage, which is excellent. Look at the top 5 cards. You may put a creature or land into your hand and the rest in the graveyard. So you're just binning a lot, which is just fueling the graveyard. And then the other big pickup is Eldritch Evolution, which is from the Shadows block. And it is a sorcery. For 1 green, as an additional cost to cast this, you sacrifice a creature. So you've got like Raffine's, and then you go and should find the rest of the text. You can go and find a creature card with converted mana X or less, where X is 2+ the creature's sacrificed mana value, and then you put it into play. So the thing you're trying to do all the time is just bin a Parhelion 2, and then reanimate it with a Greasefang. So one of the best starts you can have is to go like turn 1 Stitcher Supplier, turn 2 Raffine's Informant, which gives you, 4 looks at putting a, Parhelion into your graveyard, or you can, like Grisly Salvage or like Seder Wayfinder, dumps a bunch of stuff in, and then you can Eldritch Evolution any of your creatures into Greasefang. So it's just extra copies, and then Greasefang enters the battlefield, triggers, you get a Parhelion, you crew it with Greasefang, and you attack for 14 or whatever it is.
Yes, stupid amounts. Yeah, Seder Wayfinder is actually a massive
it's great
improvement for this deck. And the other thing is, by going into green, you now have access to a Seeker's Chariot as well. So most lists are running like 4 Seeker's Chariots, 4 Parhelions, and then a couple of Sky Sovereigns as well. Just so you've got 10 targets to get into
you need
your
a critical
graveyard.
mass.
Yeah, so you've got, Stitcher Supplier dumps 3, and then if you manage to sack it, there's another 3. You can also, like if you're sacking it to the Eldritch Evolution, because the Stitcher Supplier is part of sacking the creature is part of the cost, you'll get the Stitcher Supplier's resolving, I believe, the extra 3 cards before the Eldritch Evolution resolves, I think.
Correct. Yep, that sounds right. Because you sacrifice the creature while the spell is on the stack.
Yeah. Yep.
So even if the spell gets countered, the sacrifice for the Stitcher Supplier happens.
Yep. So Stitcher Supplier dumps 3 to 6. Raffine's Informant dumps a bunch of cards. Seder Wayfinder dumps a bunch of cards. And then what was the other one? The spell Grisly Salvage.
Salvage.
That's a bunch of cards. So it's very by turn 2 you should have 8 or thereabouts, sort of cards in your graveyard, and if you've got 10 hits, even if you're just hitting in a Seeker's Chariot, that's perfectly fine on turn 3, that you can crew straight away and copy another token, and it's...
Yep, you end up with 3 cats and you're attacking for 4. And the other thing that is really good in this now is Can't Stay Away, which has been around for a little bit, but it's the black-white, and you return a creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. But it's also got flashback, so you're perfectly happy to just flip that over, pay 5, bring back a Greasefang, reanimate, kind of go off. So, I think this is interesting. Yep. I really like the way that this plays out.
Yeah. So they're sort of the top decks, and like from what I've been hearing on podcasts and what I've seen of the meta and whatever, they're the decks that we're going to see when we're playing on the weekend. They've been around for a long time. They're going to all get some slight improvements from the latest set. So there's going to be quite a few of those. Pioneer is a very, very wide open format. There is a million decks after that are fairly strong. There's Azorius Control, there's Bant Spirits or Mono Blue Spirits, which we've played. We played the Mono Blue Spirits on stream a while ago. There's Fires of Invention decks, there's Mono Red and Gruul aggressive decks, there's the Lotus Field combo deck that you were talking about, Cracker, which is complicated.
It is,
to say the least. So it's kind of, you can kind of play sort of whatever you want. Yeah, which is cool. But there are it feels to me like Modern used to be. I've heard some complaints from people that it's not the most enjoyable format to actually play, but in theory, the format looks really good. I can't comment on that because we haven't played at all. But yeah, it reminds me of what Modern was like before we started getting all the Modern Horizons sets that just completely changed everything, where it's like, here's 5 to 10 decks that are the top decks, and then here's 50 decks that you can play that are all viable and could all win a tournament on any given weekend. That's the impression I get of Pioneer.
Yeah, which is awesome. I love that.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing it. Like I said, we haven't played it basically at all. I think the last time I actually played Pioneer was our bushfire event, whenever that was.
In the second or third week of the format existing.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
So, yeah, but I'm I'm hoping to play a fair bit of it on the Friday in the last chance qualifiers and maybe make it into the main event. So we thought we'd have a quick look at the lists that we're looking at playing. Like I said, I did a stream on Monday and ran through my process of how I choose decks and how I find the lists and sort of curate the lists and that sort of thing. So I've decided to
Steam Vince.
Yes. Actually, I think the common theme between all these is Storm-Carved Coast.
Okay.
Which is the one that's currently legal in Standard. I think that's in all of these decks. But yeah, I decided I'm going to play Is It this weekend in every format.
I love it.
So, it's certainly limited how many cards I have to pull out of my collection, which is quite nice. But, I've got 3 lists. I had 2 lists that I was looking at for Pioneer, and then on my drive home today, I went, ooh, I forgot about this list. Why aren't I looking at playing that? So the first one is an Is It Spells list from a guy named TSP Yendrick, who's a Magic Online player and a streamer and does articles. I can't remember what the website is, but yeah, it's a take on Is It that is a bit more controlling. It's playing Ledger Shredders, playing Treasure Cruise, all that sort of stuff. But it's playing Founding the Third Path, which is an enchantment that lets you like flashback cards. It mills you and then lets you flashback cards from your graveyard. And listening to him talk about it and sort of, I had a bit of Twitter discourse backwards and forwards. It sounds like most of the time you win by milling yourself and winning with Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, which is the one where if you draw a card while you've got no cards in your library, you win the game. So it just sounds like playing blue and red stuff and just drawing a million cards and winning that way, Cracker. Does that sound fun to you?
It sounds amazing.
Exactly.
How have I not known about this?
Yeah. So I'm keen to play that, but I literally have zero experience with playing that list.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, that's what the $25 last chance qualifier is. Go in and get knocked out first round and then queue up again. So that's the first one I'm looking at. My fallback for Pioneer is Bin Chickens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know how to pilot that deck. I've played it in Modern. I've played it in Standard. I've played it in Explorer. I've played it in Historic.
Just everywhere. All of the places.
I don't think I've played it in Pioneer, but it's basically the same. So that's my my fallback for Pioneer. And then the list that I remembered on the way home was Indomitable Creativity. Remember I went through a stage of playing a whole heap of that on Explorer?
I do.
Yeah, yep. So there's actually a creativity list in Pioneer, and it's not that different to the Explorer version. You know, you're playing Fables and Big Scores and all that sort of stuff. You get a few little upgrades in some of your burn spells and whatever. But the big upgrade is you're not playing Torrential Gearhulks anymore. You are Indomitable Creativitying. Well, I've never figured out how to say that. For 2, usually, to go and get Worldspine Worm and Xenagos, God of Revel. So Xenagos is a 5-mana legendary enchantment creature god. It's a 6/5. It's indestructible. The first line of text is completely irrelevant. If your devotion to red or green is less than 7, it isn't a creature. That's actually a benefit, so people can't easily kill it. But the next thing is, at the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gains haste and gets +X until end of turn, where X is that creature's power. Worldspine Worm is an 11-mana 15/15 with trample, and when it dies, you put 3 5/5 worms with trample onto the battlefield. And then the other part of the card that's actually super relevant in this deck is whenever it's put into a graveyard from anywhere, shuffle it into its library. Because creativity, you want the cards in your library for this version. You're not flashing things out of your graveyard with the Torrential Gearhulk. You want the creatures in your library. So your Worldspine Worm is always going to end up back in your library, unless it's in your hand, but you've got plenty of ways to discard it. And yeah, you just go and get those 2 creatures, and Xenagos turns it into a 30/30 with trample and haste, and you just
amazing.
Punch people in the face. So I'm super keen to play this. It looks like a lot of fun.
I don't know what to say.
Neither do I.
Yes, that is the thing you can do. Good luck.
Like you said, you're interested in playing Abzan, Greasefang.
Yes.
The other one you were looking at was the Lotus Field.
Yep.
How does that deck work? What is it doing?
It is using the namesake card of Lotus Field, which is a land that enters tapped and taps for 3 mana, but you have to sacrifice 2 lands, and it adds 3 mana of any color. The idea being that you have 2 of them in play, you Thespian Stage to make a second one, because otherwise you'd have to sacrifice the first one. But you basically just chain off a lot of untap effects, with the end state being Emergent Ultimatum, casting that to go find like Behold the Beyond and Omniscience, because, we're all about casting cheap spells here, Shorty.
Yes.
And then some other nonsense, with the win condition being a one-of Approach of the Second Sun in your sideboard that you can go and fetch in a couple of different ways. The new lists have got 2 copies of Zakama.
Yes, that's your alternate win con.
That's the alternate one. Apparently that comes in for the aggressive decks. Yeah, so the other big change to this one, to the list I was playing, that I've messed around with before, is just playing a copy of Leah to just rebuy all your stuff. And it also means that you're not weak to like the mono blue spirits and that kind of thing. So, Mystical Dispute is quite the card against Emergent Ultimatum. So, it gives you a bunch of protection there. So it's probably just better than it has been before, but I was watching some stream of it today, actually, just trying to wrap my head around it, and there's a lot going on.
How did you go?
There's a lot going on.
Yes. It's one of those decks where you need to really know when you can go for it.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of like Chewy's going to be so disappointed. This is going to be the second time I'm going to mention KCI on this podcast. You needed to know, okay, I've got these cards in my hand. I can go for it from here, and I'm 99% that I'm gonna win, sort of thing. But if you don't know those lines, you're just looking at a bunch of lands and some janky spells and stuff in your hand, and it's I guess I just wait till I've got enough mana to cast Emergent Ultimatum or something. And yeah.
The other thing is knowing how long you've got. So not do I have the resources? It's how many turns do I have left? Which means you need to know what your opponent's theoretical kills are and what their outs are. So it requires a bunch of knowledge of the format, which I do not have.
No, you do not, Cracker.
Which is fine.
Yes.
We'll get it built. We'll bring it up there and we'll play it anyway.
Yeah. It's not like we do a podcast where we're meant to know this stuff and talk about it.
150 episodes in, Shorty. I thought you'd know that by now.
Yes.
Yeah, so that, or Abs and Greasefang, I think is probably just asking good questions.
Greasefang's a really good choice.
Yep,
cool. So I'm intending on having a deck or multiple decks for Pioneer, because I'm probably going to end up playing that the most. Then a modern deck for the Saturday, and then a standard deck for the Sunday. So modern for me, I came across a list a while ago, and it's coming up in popularity. It's it's a Prowess deck. So it's Dragon's Rage Channeler, Swift Spear, Soulscar Mage, Sprite Dragons, and then a bunch of free stuff like Lava Darts and Metamorphos and Mutagenic Growths and Mishra's Baubles and all that sort of stuff. So I've played decks like this oodles of times. I quite enjoy them, and I'm really looking forward to playing this. I think you sent me a Mengucci list for this one, so
yeah,
quite looking forward to giving that deck a crack. Have you got an idea of what you'd play in Modern?
Oh yeah, Murktide.
Oh yeah, okay.
That deck kind of is just the bigger version of this one.
Yep.
But, playing Archmage's Charms and then going up to, giant Murktide Regents to try and get them dead.
Yep. You've played that. We went and played
I have, yeah.
Was that No, it was Modern. Yeah, Modern that we went and played. You played Murktide, didn't you? I played Princess Death Shadow, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool. So you've at least got some experience with the deck.
It's really powerful. And plus you can just, like yours, cheese people out with a Blood Moon in the sideboard games.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Land a Blood Moon and just bash people's faces in while they're trying to recover from their mana is always a lot of fun. And then, I'm going to have a standard deck together. I've been the standard deck I've been playing, obviously I've been playing a ton of mono red previously, but I'm sticking to my Izzet plan for the weekend. So I've been playing an Izzet control list in standard for a little while, which is, burn spells, counter spells, Celestis, Bankbuster, that sort of thing, going up to a couple of Leers and a couple of Hullbreaker Horrors. So the list has picked up a couple of things from the new set, like namely Brotherhood's End, which is the 3-mana sweeper, and Obliterating Bolt, which is the exiling, deals 4 damage and then exiles it, creature or planeswalker, which is quite good. So I think I'm gonna. I've got the cards out to play this, and that's what I'm interested in playing. But I'm gonna wait and see what comes out, what shakes out over the next few days from Standard, from Arena and that sort of thing. And if there is, we had a bit of a look on stream this week at some, Izzet artifact lists. It seems like the Izzet stuff in Brothers War is supporting the artifact archetype, which there's a lot of stuff that's been seeded from Neon Dynasty and that goes along with that archetype. So do you have a plan in mind if you end up playing Standard?
No, it'd be some horrible Delver iconoclast spells go wide thing. I started, I was on my phone last night and, I was watching stuff. I was like, I wonder if I could start, building this. And there was, 85 cards in there. I was like, okay. There's something here, but it was just me going, oh, it says draw a card. Oh, it deals damage. So I think those lists can be good. Actually, one thing that was interesting is Vault Surge gets really good with Iconoclast because the tokens that get spat out are artifact creatures. Yeah. So you can 100%. Cast Vault Surge, trigger it, sacrifice it. Oh, seems really good.
Yep. Yeah, I think there's definitely something there, and I just don't know if the full list is there, but I'll sort of wait and see what other people play. Sounds like you and I are basically just playing Izzet decks the whole weekend, other than you playing Greasebank.
Yeah.
You play Greasebank and then Izzet decks.
Listen, man.
It's our colours.
It is. It's the things we like to do. And if Grixis was a viable archetype, then we'd probably look at that as well.
Yeah. We just have to hope that Chris has enough Izzet cards to cover us. I was asking him the other day, he said, I'm not sure how many Ledger Shredders I've got. So
11.
Does Murktide play Ledger Shredder?
Sure does.
Yeah, okay. Because I own none. So I spent a bit of time this week pulling out all the cards that I own for all the decks that I'm looking at playing, and I've put together a list of what I need to borrow from Chris, and it's not too bad. Okay. But yeah, there's definitely 4 Ledger Shredders on there, so
yeah, that's fair.
We'll see how we go.
And then just Commander decks will be the other thing I'll bring you up.
Yep.
Which will be awesome. Yeah,
it's going to be an awesome weekend. As we said, if you're going to be there, let us know. We do have a channel dedicated to it in the Discord. There's been a few people letting us know that they're going to be there, so let us know, ping us, come and say good day to us. It'll be awesome to meet you, and come play some games with us. And then after hours, it's likely that we're going to be looking for players to play Cube, so come and join that, and keep an eye out for hopefully some streaming content through the weekend.
Yeah, be awesome.
So I think that's going to do us, Cracker. I don't know if there's going to be a podcast next week, because we're all going to be... I'm going to be literally on the plane flying to Sydney when we would normally be recording the podcast. You will already be there. So I don't think there's going to be an episode next week unless we record something early, which I doubt.
Seems unlikely.
You may miss a week, but keep an eye out for our streamed content instead. And then we'll be back the following week with, tournament report, I imagine, from, me winning the regional championships and qualifying for the Pro Tour.
Talking about the Pro Tour,
100%.
Absolutely.
Yep. Sounds good. All right, so just the usual reminders on the way out. Come and join us in our Discord. It is an awesome place, and there's lots of very cool people in there. We can't remind you about the leagues because the leagues are all done. The Invy's coming up, but you can't qualify for that anymore. So stay tuned for next year's tournament series, whatever we decide to do for that. There's links in the show notes for the merch store. You're probably leaving it a little bit late if you want to order something to wear for Sydney. I did get a new T-shirt last week, and I've got my nice big desk mat with the Beans logo on. It's pretty cool.
Ooh,
got my keyboard and mouse on that now. But go and check that out. Links in the show notes. Go to jpmtgbazaar.com.au and join the Facebook group, because there's heaps of really good bargains that you can grab on there, and when you win something, let them know the Beans sent you. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch and Twitter. All those places we are Magic Beans or Magic Beans Cast. If you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at Peace Inc. And you are, Cracker?
At JoelHill _.
Very good. So that's it for this week. Thank you, as always, for listening. Stay safe out there, and we will see you all next time.